here today at West Virginia Pipeline, and we have Kevin Peyton with us today, and he is a mechanic, and he's been here for many years. Kevin, how long have you been at West Virginia Pipeline?
25 years.
25 years. So tell us, Kevin, what does a typical day look like as a mechanic here? I know every day's probably a little different.
That's the best part of this job is you never know what you're going to get, kind of like Forrest Gump. Anything can happen to any machine. We maintain about 250 pieces of equipment here, and so anything can happen to any of them at any time. So it's a variety. That's what makes it nice.
That's great. So Kevin, what led you to this career path? Did you always want to do something in mechanics?
That's an interesting story. I was going to mechanical engineering at Virginia Tech was my plan, and my parents were laid off from work at the time in the 80s. The job market was bad, and I began talking with the Marine recruiters at the Marine Corps, and they told me they now have mechanical engineering, and they would pay me to go to school and pay for my school, and I thought that was the most wonderful thing, and I would be a mechanical engineer. And little did I know, a mechanical engineer in the Marine Corps at the time was a mechanic at an engineer unit. So I worked on construction equipment. I was in there for maybe 2 years working in a high echelon shop doing engine rebuilds and transmission rebuilds, which allowed me to go back to the engineer school and be an instructor the last 2.5 years that I was in. So it worked out good, and I got a lot of training at the government's expense and learned a lot.
Well, that's great. So did they provide all of your training, or did you have to do any other training?
It was provided, and then you learn as you go. And after I got out of the Marine Corps, it wasn't long, I had a job at a dealership for big trucks, road tractors and coal hauling trucks. And I was able to go to many different schools for Caterpillar, Detroit, International, transmission and rear end rebuild schools and things like that. So I got a lot of training there that wasn't a great expense for me. There are other paths you can take to get there, but
right.
that was mine.
Right. What do you think is the most challenging thing about your job?
The most challenging for me personally is the new electronics that's on everything. That's something that has came about since I began this. When I started, vehicles had carburetors, and fuel injection was on the diesel engines, and that system has changed completely. So the challenge is keeping up with the technology. And so you have to do a lot of training yourself. You go online, you read publications and things like that. If you want to stay in this field, you have to, every year it changes.
Right.
And I always thought doctors, you know, they can learn the human body, and I know it's more complicated, but once they learn it, I would think they know it. And this changes every year. There's something new and something different, so that makes it nice too, though.
Right, adds a little challenge and variety to every day. What's the most rewarding thing in your line of work?
The most rewarding for me, there's several. It's a rewarding job, but probably when you roll on a job with a machine that's broke down and several people they need to get their job done, or they want to make their pay, and to be able to get out of the service truck and find the problem and repair it and leave, and no one else there could do it and you could, and that gives you a sense of accomplishment. And sometimes if you rebuild something big, an engine on a dozer, it's rewarding to when you fire it up and build a fire in the
right.
engine and everything worked and you don't have any problems. So
right, I think that would be
it's
a
satisfying.
good sense of accomplishment.
It is.
Yes. So high school students today, what advice would you give to them? Whether it's if they want to be a mechanic or not, do you have any advice for them in general?
I would say whatever you take your school serious. There's things that I use even today that I remember a teacher from 5th grade or middle school or something telling me. And there's the math. You use a lot of math for the electronics and for the electrical stuff. There's always
right.
math. But whatever they do, whatever career path you decide, make yourself invaluable to the people you work for, to where you think the company couldn't make it if you weren't there. And if you strive to do that, there's no place you can work. And anything you can do to better yourself.
Right. I think that's great advice. We thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to talk with us and to talk with high school students. And once again, Kevin Peyton, he's an awesome mechanic, and we thank him very much.
It's a very dirty job. If you don't like to get dirty, this is not for you.
That's good advice. They need to know that. If you don't mind.
It could be on Micro's Dirty Job show.
Yeah, there you go.
There's most days you go home really dirty.
Well, we thank you so much for taking your time to talk with us today.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.